Art can be daring. Art can be decadent. Art can be reckless.
It is dangerous when I paint.
Art can be sexy.
There's something really special about burlesque.
Art is everywhere.
Yay!
We take a look at the dynamic art of sound. First, creating intricate soundscapes for the world of film.
It's so important to have that sound that really brings the audience in to the realism of it.
Then, a traditional form of Japanese drumming gets a modern twist.
We wanted to try to do something a little bit more hip and fresh and just kind of expand the boundaries of what taiko could be in America.
Also, an edgy musician blends different styles to create his own unique sound.
It doesn't make any sense to me to play a specific genre. That's sort of counterintuitive to the creative process.
That's all next on The Art of Sound.
My name is Brandon Jones. I'm a sound designer and mixer for film and television.
Although film is considered a visual art, the images on the screen wouldn't have the same emotional impact without sound design.
It's kind of stereotypical that sound people always say that sound is more than half the movie, but I think it's fair to say that it's, 50-50. It's so important to have that sound that really brings the audience in to the realism of it.
Brandon spent years studying classical guitar, but fell in love with creating sounds for movies instead.
So much of what sound design is, it's very musical in its nature. It's percussive in certain ways. You have to have a sense of rhythm, and even during a fight scene or an action scene, there's a rhythm to the punches and the kicks. I always try to think of it in terms of the frequency spectrum. When I layer up several sounds together, I try to think in terms of what part of the spectrum am I filling up. So if I have a really low rumbly sound, I'll pair that with a higher pitched sound, and then maybe I'll put one in the middle. So in that way, it's really intertwined with music.
One of the major components of sound design is Foley, reproducing the ambient sounds of a scene to add to the realistic feel.
So here's some of my Foley props to begin with. Bottles clinking, in the restaurant, cheering each other like that. This baseball mitt is great. If someone has a leather jacket in the film, I can kind of twist this and get a good leather sound out of it.
Footsteps are a crucial part of Foley, and every great Foley artist has their own set of surface tiles for this purpose.
The whole reason that we have to do Foley is that the people recording sound on set, they're really focused on getting clear dialogue. And there's just not enough microphones to put on every single, little prop that they may pick up or touch. And so we go in and we fill all those details in where they're needed.
Although most Foley can be done in the studio, sometimes Brandon has to capture new sounds from the outside environment.
I'm a firm believer in using original sound effects. So I record a lot of my own stuff. I really don't like to use a sound library for a lot of stuff because, I'll even watch movies in the theater sometimes and I can pick out certain sound effects and I know that car engine turning on, I recognize that. It just gives kind of a uniqueness to my work that I think really kind of sets it apart.
Today, Brandon is working on Foley for the sci-fi short Seed, shot on location in the California desert, but set on an alien planet.
So this shot, he takes a few steps out, and then he gets down on one knee. So that's what I'll be covering today with the Foley. So usually you'll record Foley in several layers. So you'll do one layer of all the footsteps, and then you'll do another layer with all the cloth movement, and then another layer of props. And you just have to find, the different methods that work for every different sound you create. We also need the sound for his bag. I just put, a 3-hole punch and then a water canister in there. So I can move it around like this. And it sounds like a bag full of equipment.
Once recorded, Brandon brings all of the Foley work into a sound editing program called Pro Tools.
Footstep perfectly in sync. And then I'll get the dog tags, make sure those are in sync. Here it is all together.
Marker 167.
Working in science fiction, Brandon often has to invent sounds for technologies that don't exist, and then work with the film's director to perfect the soundscape.
So for this one, these are the layers that I have for that. That's the initial attack. There's that one that's more sci-fi sounding. And that's just the bass. And then it ascends as it lifts them up into the air.
Oh, that's a really cool touch.
One of the biggest things in sound design is learning how to layer things together. You want to be careful with layering because you want the sounds to be distinct. You don't want it to sound like 20 things playing at once. You want it to sound like one sound effect. You can pick one sound that by itself would totally not work for whatever effect you're trying to do. But if you layer it underneath 2 other sounds, it all of a sudden works perfectly.
Working with Brandon Jones, to me, is like the most rewarding process of filmmaking. It's working with him that really ties everything together. Where the film it's not a living, breathing organism until he injects, his sound into it.
That screech of the bus is a Metro bus that I recorded in Burbank, actually. Yeah, this is it by itself.
So good.
My favorite part of the whole process is just seeing it all come together at the end. The final mix is really satisfying. You work for so long on all those little layers, put a lot of work into the Foley, put a lot of work into the backgrounds, to see and hear the finished product. And then to have the director have a smile on their face and shake your hand, it's very fulfilling work to do.
Coming up, Taiko, an intense art form that requires years of training.
Being a taiko player is like a combination of being a musician and an athlete.
Even just holding the stick, that takes a certain amount of energy. And then to be able to get into the stance and play like this the whole time, that's really going to get your body going.
Then, losing yourself to the music.
On a good day, when things are going really well, I don't even know there's an instrument in my hand. There's just no difference between my physical body and whatever I'm playing. That's the goal.
That's all next on The Art of Sound.
TV.com and get more exclusive content, including how-to videos, where our featured artists give you expert advice on everything from making your own pop-up to brewing the perfect espresso to creating your own comic strip. Only on OvationTV.com.
Welcome back to The Art of Sound.
My name is Brian Yamami, and I'm the managing director of Taiko Project. Taiko Project is an ensemble of premier taiko drummers based in LA.
Taiko is a form of Japanese drumming that has been around for centuries.
Taiko in its early days was used a lot by farmers. They used to play the taiko in order to kind of like call out to the gods asking for rain, which would ensure them a bountiful harvest. Later on, taiko started being used in more formalized types of Japanese music and theater.
Today, the Taiko Project is focused on bringing this ancient art form into the modern era.
The Taiko Project formed really just through an idea of creating something different with taiko. I got together with some other taiko players my age, and we just decided that we wanted to try to do something a little bit more hip and fresh, and just kind of expand the boundaries of what taiko could be in America.
Taiko is about using all the sounds a drum has to offer, which the Taiko Project utilizes when writing their songs.
Most people know taiko as large drums, big sounds, and things like that. But as taiko players, we try to use the entire range of sounds, so everything from big to small, different timbres of the drum, thin sounds, soft sounds, grating sounds, everything that we use to try to create different soundscapes in our pieces and in our shows so that our audiences get a really wide range of the expressiveness of the instrument.
While a great taiko player makes it look easy, taiko takes years to master.
Being a taiko player is like a combination of being a musician and an athlete.
Taiko is very, 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 very physical. It's almost martial arts-like in a sense. Like even just holding the stick, the bachi in your hand, that takes a certain amount of energy. And then to be able to get into the stance. And then from there, being able to stand there like that for however long your piece is, 5 to 10 minutes, and play like this the whole time, that's really going to get your body going.
Our smallest drums, which are the shime daiko, weigh kind of like about a 10-pound kettlebell. They just get heavier from there. Our main drums, the chu daiko, are about 100 pounds each, and our largest drum is about 350 pounds, and it takes probably 4 to 6 people to move it and lift it up onto its stand.
Taiko Project is doing a lot with kind of more of a dramatic side to things, more energy, also adding hip-hop elements and rock and all the stuff that we kind of grew up with. Taiko is just such an open art form. You know, it's dance, it's rhythm, it's drumming, it's movement, it's spirit, you know? I think we're kind of searching for what we think could be even more than what taiko already is.
Maz and I met about 20 years ago. I knew he was a great player, someone that I would love to be able to perform on stage with and learn from. And so he was one of the other founding members of Taiko Project. And over the years, we've grown together. We've been through a lot of difficulties with the group, a lot of growth with the group. We've seen a lot of other players come and go, but we've been able to create and compose together and create a group that I can't imagine being without. The typical way of how to learn taiko songs is kuchi shoga, or the actual vocal notation of playing taiko. So every sound that the drum has a sound that you can vocalize. And so usually people will learn like don doko doko ska don don doko don. They'll learn how to say it first, and then they'll learn how to translate it onto the drum.
A great taiko player seeks to become one with their instrument. Taiko Project encourages the group to become one with each other.
As I come around and tap you on the back, go to someone else in the circle and give them an embrace. Someone you just met, someone you have worked with for many years, someone you hope to continue playing with for many years. When I was asked what this group means to me, it's this feeling of family, friendship, trust, energy, and love.
First time I was exposed to taiko, I felt like someone was beating on my chest. And I want to give that same feeling to the audience.
A lot of us as Asian Americans, we grow up as quiet, reserved. So it's hard for us to come out of our shell and be like, da 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 da, you know, that kind of thing. So our focus is to really put our youthfulness out there and just to really show our audiences that we're having fun doing this.
It's such a great feeling for us because it feels like we're doing our role, which is to perform and share the art form with others.
Since its inception, the Taiko Project has had many opportunities to shine, but none was more important than bringing their own brand of taiko back to Japan.
In 2005, we decided that we wanted to compete in the Tokyo International Taiko Contest. At that point, there weren't too many American competitors that went out there. A lot of the other taiko groups that were there, you know, they were all looking completely uniform in their matching warm-ups. We really felt outclassed. You know, our songs that we performed were very different than what Japanese people, I think, were maybe normally used to.
Although they felt like a fish out of water, the Taiko Project were floored when they took first place.
One of the great things about the award was that we felt that it wasn't necessarily just for us. It wasn't like Taiko Project winning it. It was really a validation of all of American taiko.
With this recognition, Brian and Masato have made it their mission to keep this tradition alive in America.
I think it's important that taiko continue because it's something that's always been considered the heartbeat of the Japanese American community, and it's something that's just being embraced by the American mainstream.
Even these small little like Midwest towns that we go to, they love it. It's amazing. They come out and they see it. It's maybe the first time they've seen Taiko.
What also pushes me is the group itself. Some of the people have been around for 10, 15 years, and they're just wonderful people, and I hope that I get to create music with them until I die.
Coming up, musical artist Katisse Buckingham creates new sounds out of classical instruments.
The term has been coined flute box. I've been doing it for many years and kind of do my own thing with it. I've been beatboxing since I was a little kid, and so it's a natural progression for any flute player who loves hip-hop.
That's all next on The Art of Sound. Welcome back to The Art of Sound.
Sound is vibration, and vibration is energy. And I want to put good energy into the world, positive energy. So I play music that I love. I'm Katisse Buckingham, and I'm a professional musician.
Katisse is a flautist and saxophonist well known in the music world for his unique genre-defying sound.
I grew up in the west side of LA, Venice Beach. Venice Beach was a great mix of styles and cultures. I grew up with a lot of Latin music and Afro-Cuban music, hip-hop, jazz, and what's now called classic rock. And so my own music, I've kind of created my own sound merely because I haven't filtered out any of the influences that I have. It doesn't make any sense to me to play a specific genre, to make my music fit that sound or style. That's sort of counterintuitive to the creative process.
Let's mix it up for those visible foes. A duck miserable in the throes of the sack of woe. I consider the low-grade negativity. Don't play the...
Although Katisse has been playing for 30 years, he came to music later in life.
I was an actor as a kid. I did some professional stage work and also some TV shows, but I didn't really enjoy it very much. So when I got finished with high school, I called up my agent and said, I quit, I'm done.
Katisse had been playing saxophone through high school and attended a music college to continue his studies. At college, he was encouraged to try out the flute.
So I got a little flute, started playing it, and really fell in love with that instrument. I really just enjoyed playing with it. There was something very earthy and very organic about it. Just the air and the breath and no reeds. It's a little less complicated in terms of the way it's put together than the saxophone.
Today, Katisse splits his time between saxophone and flute equally and has recorded and played live with huge acts like Dr. Dre and Prince.
I'm also a solo artist. I have a couple of my own records out. One's called Lyrical Worker, and a new one I have called A World to the Wise.
And never saw that you never saw. Shot from a cannonball. Never plan to fall, cause it's plentiful. Talents manifold. Machinations are marvelous. Watch the crops that'll harvest. Hit the target, and it's sold on the black market. True to the roots of blues. Never refused Jews. He paid him verbatim, like Art Tatum, faced with an ultimatum. Laying other players by the wayside.
I like lyrics that are sort of impressionistic. You can listen to them, and they're multi-layered. I love alliteration and rhymes. My whole brain is kind of surrounded around rhyme schemes and rhyming and things.
Tail spinning in your head, leave you cynical. Move your body to a groove from Senegal. Then prepare to walk tall with the veritable terror from the bebop era. Bold and beautiful with strength from the tendons to the cuticles.
Regardless of what project he's working on, Katisse is always pushing the boundaries of his instruments.
I guess the term has been coined flute box. I've been doing it for many years and kind of do my own thing with it. I've been beatboxing since I was a little kid, and so it's a natural progression.
Katisse also plays in a jazz fusion band called the Ensemble, another outlet for his creativity and ideas.
The process for me of coming up with a tune can happen in many different ways. I might be thinking of like a bass groove. I might be thinking of just a rhythm, like a drum thing that's going on in my head. Or it could be a sung, kind of a chorus type of sound. I got like probably 5 or 6 tunes just floating around in my head that if I just sat down for like an hour and a half would be fleshed out and done.
What's most unique about Katisse is his use of rhythms, putting different kind of rhythmic structures together, but still making it sound like a coherent piece. For me, being a rhythmic player, it's a lot of fun to play, and it gives me a lot of opportunities to kind of do my own thing, which is a lot of fun.
On stage, Katis improvises a lot. The music kind of goes a different direction every single time. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the music, so you just kind of have to rely on your instincts and listen a lot and interact.
No matter what style he's playing in, Katis is happiest when he's experimenting in new sounds and performing his music.
I think the greatest experience for me is being able to wake up every day excited about what I do. For me, playing music is, I'm in another dimension. It's like through the wardrobe into Narnia kind of thing. On a good day, when things are going really well, I don't even know there's an instrument in my hand. There's just no difference between my physical body and metal and gold, silver, whatever it is I'm playing. That's the goal. I love the fact that my music can exist in so many different situations. I can be on a hip-hop festival, a jazz festival, a world music thing, a jam band situation. There's really no place that my music can't fit. It reaches such a wide array of people, and I'm happy about that.